Yo, what's going on, everyone? It is Baze here, and I'm back again with another Mythic Plus dungeon. This time I'll be covering Dawnbreaker. This is a returning dungeon, so I'm going to tell you about all the things they've changed, and I will try to remind you about all the important stuff to kick and deal with in each pack. So, in this pack, the important mob to note is the Ritualist. They cast a Tormenting Ray, which picks random targets and pulses shadow damage every second, and they also cast Stygian Seeds, which also puts a dot, and this needs to be dispelled. The other thing here that has changed is Endearing Shadows. It used to be kickable. It is no longer kickable and is now instant cast and needs to be decursed. And the other thing you want to kick in here is the Night Bolt cast. It does hurt quite a lot. And that is it for that pack. The next change they did was to the commander here. His Abyssal Howl used to be kickable. It's no longer kickable, and it used to pulse for AoE. No longer does that. Instead, it now puts a magic shield on everything around it, so all you need to do is cleave it down. The shield is not big at all. So pretty much all you need to worry about in this pack is Bolt Cast and using a defensive for when you get any Stygian Seeds cast on you or any Tormenting Rays. So let's talk about the first boss here, Speaker Shadowcrown. They did not change anything mechanically about this fight. So the first thing that is important to know is that the Shadow Bolt you're going to want to kick. The boss will also cast Obsidian Beam. This is a tank hit followed by party-wide damage. It also has beams that come out from the boss, which rotate, so you want to make sure you pay attention and dodge. And the third thing to know is that the boss also will cast Collapsing Night, which will be on 2 ranged. If you're full melee comp, it'll be on melee, which can be really annoying. This Collapsing Night targets 2 random players, which debuffs the players, and when it expires, it'll spawn void puddles under them. So the tank will need to pay attention for this on where the void puddles are, and the tank will want to drag the boss away from these so that melee have enough room, or ranged, depending on where they're at, to rotate for when the boss casts Obsidian Beam again. And at 50%, the boss phases. The important thing to know here is that there will be a debuff that goes out called Burning Shadows. It targets a random player that, when dispelled, it'll place a heal absorb on the rest of the party. So you'll want to make sure that you either heal yourself or that you don't push the boss to 50% if the healer has not healed through these, because you'll be flying out there and you'll just be taking ticking dot damage and no one can save you. So that is the entire fight. It's the same as before. Again, they didn't change anything. So, in case you haven't done this dungeon before, or in case you're returning and you don't remember, there are 3 lieutenants you need to go around killing. The first one is Cretin. He just does a tank hit, followed by a AoE swirly that you want to run out of as a DPS or melee healer. All you do is run out of that as the tank's getting hit, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing else going on in this. The second lieutenant is Viscoxia. All this lieutenant does is cast a frontal cone and does pulsing AoE damage, which you just dodge and heal through. And the last lieutenant is Death Screamer here. He has a orb mechanic, which he's going to cast on a random player. If you are melee, you need to run out of this orb ranged. The further the orb goes, it does fall off damage. So the further it goes, the less damage it does to the group. This is pretty dangerous because most of the time you're going to have a big pull here with this, so you want to make sure you're casting any bolt casts that are going off or CCing the mobs, and you want to make sure you have a defensive off, especially once the ball, especially if someone messes up. If the ball hits and you have other casts going off on you, you are going to take massive, massive damage. So just make sure you pop a defensive whenever that ball's about to pop. Also, going into this, they did change some of the packs here, so you'll see there are some ritualists in these packs, and all you need to make sure you do, kick some bolt casts. Again, remember the Stygian Seed cast and the Tormenting Ray cast. You just want to make sure if you get both of those, you use a defensive here, and you CC the packs and cleave them down. So the second boss is a nub. This boss pretty much has everything the lieutenants did, and it also casts shadow adds with Animate Shadow. The important thing you need to know here is that at some point, it is going to do a nasty overlap with Shadowy Decay, and it'll also do the animated orb, which you just saw on me. You want to make sure if both these casts are going off at the same time, you use group wide utility healing, defensives, whatever you have, you want to make sure you use it because it will hurt. So here are the ads I was talking about a second ago. You want to make sure you CC these ads or kick their cast as they choose a random player they hit with shadow damage, and that on top of this orb going off. If you get both of those, it is at a high key most likely going to be a one shot. On a low key, it's livable, it's fine, but the first few weeks you want to make sure none of those casts go off. So just use any kind of CC you have. You can save your CDs for those ads. I know some people did in the past. So that is the entire second fight. After you kill a nub there, you'll be greeted by this architect. He spawns ads at 75, 50%, and if I remember correctly, 25%. And then he also does this cast, which does pulsing damage, and it also will cleave if you are inside of that circle. So make sure you're not inside of that circle. All you do is kick these ads, CC them once they're in, and you just burn the lieutenant. Alright, and the last boss is Rasha'nan. The boss has 4 mechanics in P1. It has Expel Webs, which are swirlies that you just dodge. It has Rolling Acid. This, you can tell which way it's going to go, determined by which side the green is on. So if the green is on your left side, the wave's going to go left. If the green is on your right side, it's going to go right. The boss also casts Erosive Spray, which does group-wide pulsing AoE. You want to make sure if you're doing a hierarchy, and in the first few weeks, you use the defensive there. And the boss will also have 3 barrels that are out behind me that you want to go and pick up and throw onto the boss. And it's just rinse and repeat for P1 until the boss phases. And when the boss phases, the boss will have an intermission where you're flying and you pick up an orb. You don't have to. You can just fly straight to this spot that we flew to and you will not die. You'll get like 10 seconds to fly there. It's more than enough. You just save your big burst window and use all your flying. And then we have P2. P2 is pretty much the same as P1. The added difference for P2 is that you will get webs on you, and the webs will stay on the floor permanently until you get the wave mechanic, which again can go left or right, and you clear the webs by using the wave mechanic. Also, you will be tethered to the web until you break it, and once you break it, it'll do a little bit of group damage. So again, you want to make sure you use the defensive there, and that is the entire fight. It's just rinse and repeat over and over until the boss dies.